was single for 7 years, and here's why. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesday. Yes, Wind Down Wednesday is when I come with a cocktail or a glass of wine and I tell you what's on my mind. All right, so let's get into today's topic. Actually, I'm just so ready to dive in. I didn't even tell y'all what this really is about. Okay, so hey y'all, my name is Ashley. Okay, Wind Down Wednesday came to me because I like to wind down usually in the middle of the week because I hit the ground running on a Monday. Okay, and I like to just kind of like wind down. I love to make cocktails. And I was trying to think of a way I could share my cocktails that I make or different like wines I come across on social media. And I was like, why not just make a cocktail or come with a drink and just talk to the girls about what's on my mind, what's been on my mind for the week, like whatever. All right, so that's how Wine on Wednesday started, and today's the first episode. So let me know if you're feeling the vibes, okay? Let me know if you have topics as well. All right, I have the first few topics already kind of figured out, but let me know. Let me know what you want, okay? Because I want to give the girls what they want. All right. So, a little bit about me. Again, my name is Ashley. I live in Maryland. Okay, I am 33 years old. All right, I am a professional. We're gonna leave it at that. Today, I want to talk about why I've been single for 7 years. Okay, or why I was single for 7 years. All right. Um, Really, the crazy thing about it is I didn't expect to be single this long. I don't think anybody really does. But for me, my last relationship ended in 2018. I didn't want a relationship for a while. I think most of us go through that where we're like, okay, I want to be single. I want to live my life. Da da da. I went through that as well. Okay, and it was fun. It was fun. I really needed some time. I ended that relationship, and I just needed some time to just live life, right? Just live life because I feel like he was really stopping me from doing a lot of things. Um, so after a few years, I started to be like, okay, I'm ready to be in a relationship again. And after like those few years where I started like putting myself out there to be in a relationship, I just realized what was around me just wasn't that great. So let me back up a little bit. After I broke up with my ex, I purchased a home, this home here, moved into my home. I had already graduated grad school, and then I was like, taking my next steps in my career. And I was elevating my life. And I remember when I started dating, I met a guy, and he was like, "Oh, you think that you're all that because you got this, you got that, like, you don't know that men don't care about that, men don't want that." And I was just kind of like, like, why is that the topic of conversation? Like, I didn't do any of this for a man to care or not care. I did this for myself, right? Like, these were goals I had for myself. I've been wanting to buy a home. Like, I saw my mother buy a home and lose her home in my childhood, and I knew that I wanted to buy a home from early on. So this had nothing to do with you. Anyway, that was early on in what I was discovering when I was looking to date intentionally. Side note, I'm drinking Prosecco, okay? Prosecco became one of my go-to wines. I'm gonna call it that. But Prosecco became one of my go-tos during the summer. I think just during the summertime, I wanted something light, fizzy. And it's crazy because I never used to be like a Prosecco, champagne, brut kind of girl. Because I always feel like they were too dry. But this La Marca Prosecco, she cute. She a little dry, but like I feel like she's cute just for a little, you just want a little razzle dazzle, a little fizz. Yeah, she's that girl. I keep checking, make sure my goodies ain't showing. But yeah, so that's kind of was my entrance into back being in the dating market, right? And that wasn't fun. So it got to a point where I decided I was just gonna be celibate again. Like I was just gonna chill. I was celibate for about a year, and the pandemic hit, and me, just like most other people, wanted connection during the pandemic. So then I started. I joined. I think it was Hinge. After not being on dating apps for a minute, I joined Hinge and I met a guy, and I felt like, I've been single for this long. I haven't been intimate with anyone for this long. I feel like if this person came around, it must be for a reason. No, no. Yeah, no. But, that was the most horrendous dating experience of my life, okay? When I say all the signs was there and I ignored every last one of them, I mean, like, it could have been a big ass red stop sign blinking right here that said stop, and I still was like, ooh, go, go. Why? I know why, right? Because I was single for as long as I was. I was yearning for connection, and I was ready to settle down and be with someone. And I ignored a lot of things because of that, right? Because of my overall desire, and not realizing that that desire didn't belong to that person. Like, that desire should have been left for somebody more deserving. But we live and we learn. So that was the most horrendous dating experience of my life. Okay. And I got out of that situation, and I was like, I'm not going to let this hold me down. Like, although he was manipulative, he was like a really horrible human being. I was like, I know I still want love. I still believe in love. I'm not going to let this stop me from finding love. So I, continued dating. And then I met another guy that I had a really great connection with that was a really, really nice guy. And although he himself was not ready for a relationship, I thought I was, and I realized now that I really wasn't as well. I realized that that last situation with that guy made me become so defensive because I had to defend myself to him all the time. I had to defend my thoughts, my emotions. I had to advocate for myself day in and day out. I just, it was just so much I had to rebuild from that I couldn't, that I really wasn't prepared for anything serious. I could not take any accountability because I was so defensive, because I was built, like, I was beat down. So when I say I had to, like, build myself back up, and thankfully I already had high confidence, I already, believed in myself. I already knew my worth. But imagine being at like a 10 and still being like broken down to a 5, right? And if I was starting at a 5, I would have been at a 0. But I had to build myself back up. So while I was, dating this guy, um, you know, everything to me was like, oh, he's just not ready. He's not available. But in hindsight, Ashley wasn't available or ready either, just in a different way. So, you know, as much as you may want a relationship, girl, if it's not happening, it's not happening for a reason, right? We need to find the lessons and the blessings in our singleness, I truly believe, and take it as a moment to really, really get to learn yourself, really, really get to know yourself. Be grateful, because really, once you lock in and you're with somebody and you're in a relationship, you don't have that space and time to do those things, right? You don't want to get into a relationship with someone who's healed and not be healed yourself. And then you don't want to not be healed and try to get in a relationship, because you're just going to attract somebody who's also not healed, and that's not going to be healthy as well, right? So, really, really enjoy your singleness. Enjoy getting to know yourself, date yourself. Um, that's what I did during my singleness, right? Like, I feel like that's why those first few years I accomplished so much, because I didn't have to worry about nobody else but myself, right? And I got to do what I wanted to do. I got to travel how I wanted to travel. I got to experience what I wanted to experience, and it was beautiful. Even my period of time of being celibate was beautiful. I was journaling, I was meditating. That's when I really got into like my at-home yoga practice. Um, I just learned so much. I really feel like take the moments that you have and make the best of it, right? Try not to see your singleness as a negative. All right, girl. Well, that's it for my first episode of Wind Down Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed this little mini series. I know I've probably just talked in circles because I'm so excited and nervous at the same time. But I had a time, so I hope you had a time. And I think I want an outro for when I close these out. Let's go with cheers to growth, love, and luxury.